All right, welcome everyone to this month, March, Stay Tuned episode, a show where we do the research and look at some of the movies and TV shows that are coming out for the month so that you don't have to. This month, we have a lot coming through,
Yeah.
a lot of movies. We have some TV shows. It's probably our busiest month that we've had in a long time. George and I were speculating that with the writer strike and all the delay that put in, we might have some periods where all that backlog is going to start to come out. And I feel like this month is part of that, as you'll see when we get into it. George, what do you say? Let's get right into the movies because we got a lot to cover.
Let's make it happen, man.
All right, perfect. Let's start on the first. And this is probably going to be the biggest movie of the month, and that's going to be Dune Part 2. It's just coming to theaters, of course. The director is Denis Villeneuve, known for, well, the first one, Part 1, but also Blade Runner, new Blade Runner, not the old one.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Sicario and Arrival. All bangers, all good movies, all visually stunning movies and the way
Yes.
they're directed and shot, and we'll get into that. But it has an all-star cast. I can't name all of them, but just to give you an idea of some of the people in it, we got Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, Rebecca Ferguson, a ton of people in there. It's a all-star cast all over the place, just like the first one was. This
Yeah.
one is no different. Basically, without trying to spoil too much from the first movie in case you guys haven't seen it, the general premise of this is Timothy's character is looking for revenge for what occurred in the first movie. If you want to know what occurred, check out the first movie and then you'll know. This
Is
leads
it a
in with
spoiler? This book is so old.
you'd be surprised how many people are like, I've heard of Dune, but I don't know what Dune is or
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happens in it or anything. There's books, there's other movies, the originals. There's been plenty of time. But anyway, this leads him to to face that tough choice between the love of your life and the fate of the universe as he tries to prevent a terrible future that he can see at this point in time. So that's the general premise. George, what are your thoughts on Dune 2?
I've been saying for a while, like this is gonna decide whether part one is worth it or even like a good movie at all. Because part one was visually, like we said, Villeneuve does a great job visually, and he creates this universe, I think, beautifully. Like I can totally envision this world that he's created with all the spice and the sandworms and all the stuff. But it ends in a way where there's no resolution. You're just left with conflict. So this, I think, will be the deciding factor if it's actually going to be a great series. Trailer wise, it looks like the action is still going to be there with more intensity. I'm actually really excited or interested in seeing Austin Butler in this and seeing if he can stop being Elvis for a second and be a new character. But besides that, like I'm also really excited to see, I forgot the name of the character, but Timothy Chalamet's character ride the sandworms. I think that's going to be super freaking cool just
Oh
seeing him
yeah.
do that.
It's releasing in like a week, but sometimes they like to
Yeah.
do those last minute trailers. I hope they don't ruin the moment in the trailer.
Okay. Well, maybe you're lucky. I've seen some of the trailers where they already kind of show glimpses of it.
I've only
So
seen one trailer and they didn't show too much
yeah, like I've
because
seen some others where he's already kind of riding, but I haven't seen a trailer where it shows him like attempting it for the first time because that's going to be the big deal. Trying to tame
Mm,
this beast for the first time is going to be pretty cool, I think.
okay. This was one of the movies because I saw the first one and I did enjoy the first one that I already knew I was on board. So I only watched it might have been just the teaser trailer. They released a teaser trailer. That was it, just to do this program and have a little bit of that. But I was already sold on this. And it's almost like you read my notes like verbatim. You even used some of the adjectives through it. The first one, the visuals were the selling point in it. It was beautifully shot and you had some strong performances to go along with it. So it
Yeah,
just wasn't the visuals. Problem with multi-parters is that they normally feel incomplete on their own. Curious if the second one will as well. So
yeah,
it is one thing if this one helps complete the first one and both parts put together make a great movie. Besides that, I want this one to also stand on its own, to be able to be
yeah.
watched and not feel like you missed anything at all. That's what I like more about sequels over two-parters
Agreed.
is each of them should stand on their own. So I hope it's good. I'm looking forward to it. I will be watching this in the theater when it first comes out. Not only that, I'm gonna be rewatching the first one this week just to have it fresh in my mind because there is a lot to cover in the first
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, it's a
So
long movie.
and yeah, long movie, and that was the during the pandemic, I think, or
Yeah.
2021. But we were still in the pandemic, but
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was 2020 or
Uh
2021.
yeah, I don't recall it, but I know that I had to watch it at home.
Yeah. So either way, 3 to 4 years ago. So there's a lot of detail to remember, a lot of characters to
Yeah.
remember. So it is worth the rewatch before you go in there. Staying in that same weekend, but moving over to TV shows, we have on Apple TV a show coming out called The Completely Made Up Adventures of Big Turban. As you can tell by the title, this is a very serious, suspenseful, dramatic movie.
Oh yeah.
Uh, right away, I recognize Noel Fielding, and
Yeah.
from the British Bake Off. That's where I recognized him from.
Oh,
That
okay.
was the
Okay.
first, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've seen a few seasons of the British Bake Off, and him and there was this other shorter bald guy hosting together,
Yeah, from
and that
Little Big Britain or something like that. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
that was my favorite combo out of the hosts that I've had. So right away, I remember I'm like, oh, he was funny in that. I like
Yeah.
them. But this, it's a gang of rogues and robbers led by like Dick Turban, who at least when I got the trailer tends to lead more through charm and showsmanship than actual skill. So and takes place, it's like a period piece and like that Robin Hood type thing where they're like
Yeah.
robbing. It's more comedy based. It looks funny. It is British humor, so if you're not into that, this might not be the show for you. I feel that this has the potential to be one of those shows that gains a following because of its comedy, kind of like
Yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows, that thing which didn't blow up, but it gained a following that slowly got stronger over time. And you hear people talking about it, but it's not like a show that like everyone has seen. So that's the way I see this show. I am looking forward to it. I'm always looking forward to adding a comedy show to my repertoire because you don't get too many these days. What
Not good
about you? What are your
ones, at
thoughts?
least.
Very true.
Yeah, as soon as I saw Noel Fielding, I was on board. I've loved him since like IT Crowd and the Mighty Boosh. Like he's just comedy gold, honestly. He does great stand-up also. Like he's just amazing. I love that guy. So once I saw him, I was already sold. And then I saw the comedy coming in. I was like, yeah, I love British humor. That's definitely for me. I
I
don't need to
for
see anything else, honestly.
I forgot he was in the IT crowd. I love the
Yeah,
IT
yeah.
crowd. Ah, okay. So I actually saw him in IT crowd before I saw him in British Bake Off, but it's been so long since I've seen the IT crowd.
Yeah, but
Uh,
in British Bake Off, you're getting like au natural Noel Fielding. But like in shows like this, like we get him as a character actor, he's pretty good actually. But besides just his natural, charisma.
I'm looking forward to this, and like I said, it is Apple TV, and out of all the streaming services that I have, Apple TV releases the least, but releases the best, like quality to quantity ratio. So they don't really release a lot, but when they release things, they tend to be good.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that bodes well for this show going into it is that if Apple TV is releasing it, there's a high probability, not guaranteed, but high probability that it's a good show.
Yeah, that's a good percentage. Like one of my favorite ones that came out from them was Schmigadoon, like the comedy musical with Keegan Michael Key was in it
Yes,
and Cecily
yes.
Strong. I freaking love that show. It's so freaking good. And the production value, everything about it's so good. So like if they're gonna bring that kind of value to this, we're solid.
Yeah, I'm in day one. We might have to do a hit it or quit it on this. It's been a while.
Yeah, no, for sure. Something tells me
Uh,
it'd be a hit it and hit it again though.
yeah. So we'll keep hitting it until it doesn't want to be hit anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, going back to the movies on the 7th and next week, I believe should be on the Thursday, releasing to Prime. We have St Nikki. This is directed by Peter Farley, one of the Farley brothers. Known for classics such as Dumb and Dumber, even though I'm not the biggest fan of that, but it is a
Likewise.
classic. Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene. There was that peak period for the Farley brothers.
Yeah.
They had like all of these that were pretty much all hits and received well by audiences. It stars Zac Efron, John Cena, Andrew Santino, Jermaine Fowler. The concept of it is interesting. It's a good setup for a comedy. So
Yeah,
basically, you have a group of friends who created a fake friend who they use as an excuse and an alibi so they can get away on like crazy, man's trips with them, whether it's like going to Vegas or going to whatever. This is their excuse they use, this fake friend. But after 20 years, their spouses and their family are finally demanding to meet the famous Ricky Nikki that keeps pulling them away on these like trips. And since he isn't real, they are forced to hire someone, and that someone is John Cena to pretend to be Ricky Nikki. And it seems like John Cena's character really takes it to heart. And
yeah,
it might be escalating beyond what they expected at this point. So there seems to be plenty of opportunities for comedy there. It looks like it can be funny. And what I like about at least that main cast, they've had stuff under their belt that shows that they should be able to pull it off and pull off this comedy. I've seen these actors have good comedic timing in separate movies. Andrew Santino, he's known for comedy. He has his
yeah.
his podcast, he has stand up. So that's what he's known for. But I know Zac Efron, John Cena don't get enough credit for their comedic timing. We had Neighbors with Zac Efron, which was a funny movie. John Cena with a Peacemaker. You see a little bit of his comedic timing there. And I forget there was this other movie that he had where he was only in it for like 5 minutes as a dealer, and that scene was probably the best scene in that movie, and it was because of his comedic ability. We're long removed from the peak of the Fairley Brothers, so I'm not sure if that
Yeah.
style is gonna hit these days, but it's coming to streaming. So if you have Prime, it's free. I'm willing to give it a try on streaming.
Yeah.
And I either get a good laugh or at worst, I lost nothing. What are your thoughts?
Everything you said, ditto, honestly, to all of it for sure. I think personally, Zac Efron and John Cena shine in comedies. Both have proven, especially Zach, obviously, good dramatic actor, very well-rounded individual within, song, dance, acting. He can do it all. But John Cena, like, he's up there when it comes to like the wrestlers who prove that they're more than just wrestling. And it took him a bit because in the beginning he wasn't good. Movies like The Marine, it's like, I don't know about this guy. But like
Mm.
he put in the work just like The Rock. In the beginning, the Scorpion King wasn't proving anything. But over time, they've just, done the work, and it's like, all right, this is where you belong now. This is it. Because they're freaking hilarious. I love watching them in comedies. When I see them in the screen, it's like, all right, it's going down now, man. We're gonna have some laughs, you know. So I'm actually excited for this. I mean, Peter Farley, since breaking off from the Farley brothers, dynamic, I think he's starting to prove himself as a solo director. I mean, I believe he's the same one who also directed the Green Book.
Yes,
And
we did.
I know it's kind of like a torn thing. Some people didn't like it. I personally loved it. I thought he did a great job with it. So I think it could be really good. I, I'm I'm on the positive side for this. And the trailer made it look really funny, honestly. Like I watching it, I was like, how did me and my friends never think of this? Why did we never create an imaginary friend that we can pin stuff on? Like this is a great
It's
idea. This is
it's never too late.
it's not. Right? My wife doesn't watch this show. She'll never know.
Oh, I'm speaking. I just got a call from Raul Brenton. He's been wanting to see us. It's been a long time,
Oh
so I
shit,
think we might
Raul?
need to take. Yeah, we need to see Raul.
Man, I miss Raul.
He's going through some tough times and needs us to go visit him in Vegas.
Does he still have that
Uh,
Mercury Cougar?
uh, he does. He dinged it up a little bit the other day. He's dealing with some health issues.
Mm,
Yeah, unfortunately, he shouldn't be driving right now, but we'll see him. We'll see Raul.
I'm coming to you, buddy.
Uh, Going on that same weekend, but to theaters, we have Imaginary coming out on the 8th. This is directed by Jeff Wadlow. He's done some stuff. Uh, so, some stuff. Uh, it stars the Wonder Wise, Tegan Burns, and Tom Payne, among others. The idea here is a woman comes back to her childhood home to find that her childhood imaginary friend that she left behind is very real and very not happy that she left them behind. So that's the premise of the movie. What were your thoughts on this one?
I find the timing of this so coincidental considering we had the movie If coming out like a month or two after.
It,
Come on, man. What's happening behind the scenes here? What are you guys doing? Someone's leaking out information. But besides that, I mean, I like the idea though of this imaginary friend teddy bear thing becoming this monster that kills because its feelings are hurt. That's pretty much what it is. It got butt hurt feelings like you left me. Now everyone gotta die. You know? It's kind of funny. I kind of like that. It
the,
almost kind of reminds me of this comic book that I read back in the day called Stuff of Legends, where like a teddy bear and other toys go and become like real beasts to try to like save their owner. Almost like if Andy's toys came to save him, is that kind of premise, but they become like monsters that go and fight the bad guy. But instead, this is the monster is the bad guy. So like, I'm not expecting anything great from this. Let's be real about it. But for premise alone, I'll probably wait for it to come to streaming and then I'll watch it then.
no, I agree there. So yeah, it is funny that we are getting those two. Once a comedy, once a horror, all around. And it's funny because we actually do have an episode. I think that we recorded there in that first year, which was looking back in time and in years
Yeah,
that we had movies with very similar premises to come out within a year of each other. And how many times that has happened, over the last like 30 years, it's crazy because there's leaks happening,
yeah,
or someone gave the same idea to two different studios and then they both ran with it on their own way. But yeah, the concept is the selling point for this. On paper, it looks like when you read it, but watching the trailer, I didn't really see anything that stood out at all. I have also seen other movies from this director, such as Truth or Dare, Fantasy Island, Cry Wolf, and I was not a fan of any of those. So I'm already kind of going in with lowered expectations for this one. And by going in, I mean probably my couch because I will wait till streaming for this. I'm not going into the theater for this as much as I love horror.
all the movies you mentioned that he made, I watched them all at home. I did not go to the
Yeah.
theater for those movies.
Yeah, the horror fan in me will make me watch this, but not in the theater
Yeah,
at all. I mean, I hope it pans out. 'Cause you never want to wish for failure for a director. Maybe this might be the one that he finally puts out. That's like, okay, that was a good one,
yeah,
and it might be a sleeper. Maybe it might be this year's Megan. Which
yeah.
people were really looking down on and underestimating, and it ended up actually being pretty good, ended up being a hit, and it's getting a sequel. So I do hope it's good because I'm always rooting for good horror, but I'm gonna wait till streaming and I'm going in with low expectations for this one. As part of a very busy weekend, we have also coming out that Friday, we have Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out of the eighth. Numero Cuatro. This is directed by Michael Mitchell. He's done also other family-oriented and animated movies. He did Trolls. He did the Lego Movie 2. So he has some experience within this animated realm. Another all-star cast for this. Can't
Yeah.
name everyone, but Jack Black, Dustin Hoffman, James Hong, George's favorite Aquafina, Bryan Cranston, my girl, Viola Davis, who is a beast in everything that she's in. The general concept of this is Poe is moving up to spiritual leader. He's getting older now. It's time to move on. No more dragon warrior. So now he needs to train a new warrior. Meanwhile, you have this powerful, shape-shifting villain who, from the trailer, seems to be absorbing the powers and the abilities of some of the past villains that Poe had to deal with.
Yeah.
So now he's posing this new big threat, causing Poe to team up with some unexpected friends, who maybe might not be viewed as heroes. So it looks good. I enjoy the Panda movies. They are what they
Yeah.
are. They're nothing like, oh my god, this is one of the best animated movies ever. But I don't think I've walked out of one of them being like, oh, that was bad. They are what they are. They are
Yeah.
entertaining. They are meant for family, and they accomplish their goal. Jack Black is always great. They've always been entertaining for me. They're not go to the theater level entertaining for me personally, but I can see this doing well in the theater as people bring their families, their kids, and the cast of voice actors too are very appealing. I think this is gonna do very well. I'll probably watch it once it goes to streaming. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, same thing, it's no Shrek, like when I think of like animated things that have been good with each sequel and it for adults and kids, that's the one I kind of think of. But this is, yeah, it's a nice little romp for the family. I enjoyed the first two. I don't think I saw part three, but the first two were fun. It's cute. He's Jack Black. I'm a fan of him. His voice lent to anything is going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. I definitely got Mortal Kombat vibes though, because of like the character that Viola Davis plays, the chameleon, reminded me of Shang Tsung, stealing
Mhm.
the souls and morphing into those characters. I was like, oh, that's a cool little nod right there. For all of us fans of that, that's fun. So yeah,
Now I
I'll
just want him
probably
to finish him.
right. I'm hoping they have lines like that in the movie just to like really lean into it, with obviously no true fatalities or gore. Unless they know the blood code, then hey, we have a chance.
Yeah. Now we might get what was the other one? The friendship one?
Yeah, yeah. I can easily actually see that with Poe, some kind of friendship thing with maybe involving food and noodles. I don't know.
Staying in the same weekend because like I said, it's a busy weekend. But now going more to the couch on Netflix, we have the movie Danzel coming out. This is directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. What he did that I recognized was 28 Weeks Later.
Mm,
Not as good as 28 Days Later, but not bad
yeah,
on its own too. It was a little more action packed, a little more contained to like one location. Pretty good. It stars Millie Bobby Brown, Angela Bassett. The story of it is you have a young woman agrees to marry the handsome prince, a complete fairy tale, until she finds out it's a trap and they're trying to sacrifice her to the dragon that lives in the cave, under their castle. And now she has to try to survive and escape without getting eaten or charred by the dragon. Normally, not my type of a movie, but the concept got my attention.
yeah.
I'm not really into like these old like these period pieces and kings and queens and knights era. This is not my forte. But yeah, this concept is interesting. It kind of also reminds me of there was a Hulu movie, I think it was called The Princess, where they put a little
Yes,
different
I thought the same
yeah,
thing. Yeah,
yeah, they put a different twist on the "I'm a princess, help me." They just had her just kick ass the entire time. So it switches it up a little bit in doing that. I did watch the Holmes show with Millie, and she
yeah,
was good in that. I am looking forward to this one as she continues to, try to move out of the shadow of Stranger Things. I think she definitely has the potential and the talent to be able to do it. So I'll be watching this when it comes on Netflix. I feel especially with the 28 weeks later background, we know he's got some horror under his belt.
yeah,
Maybe some of those scenes in the cave with the dragon, I'm hoping that we get a little bit of like a horror tone, at least while we're in there. I
yeah.
think that can definitely elevate it. So I'm looking forward to it. What about you?
I actually was way more excited for this one than the other movie that was on Hulu. The one that was on Hulu kind of sucked to me personally. I wasn't a big fan of it. Certain things were pushed in it that just didn't make any sense to me. But in this, like I like it's almost like this lone survivor kind of thing going on for her, And I don't get the sense that she was trained for this moment. So you can see her like she's kind of almost like learning on the fly. And maybe it's like she's smarter than anyone would anticipate her being, and her wits are what's gonna get her out of this, not her physicality per se. So that has me interested in it. I like Millie Bobby Brown. I think she's really good. She hasn't disappointed me in anything as of yet.
By the end, she's like looking like Tomb Raider. She's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
hair the cut. Like I'm ready for her to like jump from like one pillar like at the dragon with
Right?
like some kind of sharp object. I want that scene when it's the slow down and she's like, "Ah,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, I
gonna catch you."
guarantee we're gonna have it for sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be there. It's on the bingo card. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. All right. Shifting back to the TV end of things on the next weekend on the 15th. The Apple TV again. We got another Apple TV. We have the show Manhunt. This stars Will Harrison, Anthony Boyle, Tobias Menzies, and Lovie Simone. This is based around a manhunt for John Wilkes Booth. It's right in the title. After he assassinates Lincoln, goes on the run. This is based around that whole trying to catch him. aspect of it. What were your thoughts on this one?
When I saw Manhunt, I thought it was going to be a little bit more modern time, and then when I saw this whole thing pan out, I went from like, okay, whatever, to all of a sudden intrigued because within the trailer, it looks like there's moments where they find Booth and he's, pretending to be somebody else. And I kind of like that aspect of like, oh, what this guy was an actor. What if he used his acting skills to hide in plain sight? And that's kind of an awesome concept, for this thing. Granted, not awesome what happened in real life. Dude's a murderer, but I liked that kind of thing. And then also the intrigue of like, what if he actually didn't do it? Like it seems like he did do it, but also seems like there was kind of other things involved, almost like a Kennedy assassination thing of like the magic bullet kind of thing. It looked like
Mhm.
those kind of like conspiracy aspects were in there. So I actually think I might watch this one. I didn't think I would want to on paper. I'd be like, I don't care about watching an assassination of Lincoln. But with this angle to it, I think it's actually looks pretty intriguing.
Yeah, no, I agree that I read the synopsis on paper first. Well, not on paper, on screen.
Yeah.
I read it first on screen, and I was like, whatever. No, this is
Yeah.
not for me. The trailer sold me. Whoever cut the trailer with the music, the scenes they showed, everything, it sold me. So you got me on board. Now this is one of those stories that takes a true event and then adds elements of fiction. So this is don't go into the suspect this to be a word for word retelling of real events. This is
Yeah.
taking real events and then it's creating a fictional story based off of that real event. So there's going to be some exaggeration, some things made up. So know that going into this, it's not going to be historically accurate. Don't want any like professors going into it, be like, this did not happen at all. So keep that in mind. This comes off as like a thriller in the trailer, and I think that's what kind of piqued my
Yeah.
interest. Reading it on paper, I didn't think thriller. I thought more drama. But the trailer was cut in a way where I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be suspenseful. And again, like the historical pieces like this, they tend to not be my thing, but this it's intrigued. You have my curiosity. Now you have my attention, Manhunt.
Seriously. Like the movie like Lincoln, I watched it, but like I think I watched it only because of the actors. You got freaking Spielberg and Daniel Day-Lewis. It's like I feel like I have to watch it because it's the best of the best doing what they do. But I'm with you. It's like this. I don't want to watch something like that. It doesn't really intrigue me. But yeah, this was just like we'll change that. We're gonna change that mentality with this angle.
And again, Apple TV might have
Apple,
two
man.
two bangers. All right, staying in that same weekend, but moving over to the theaters, we have the American Society of Magical Negroes coming on 3/15 to the theaters. Directed by Kobe Libby or Lebai. I don't know. There's two eyes at the end. It can go either way.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything done by Kobe, so this is going to be the first
yeah,
project by this director that I've seen. It stars Justice Smith, Anne Bogan, David Allen Greer, always good to see him. Simple concept. Young man gets recruited into a secret society of, you know, magical black people that are dedicated to making the lives of white people easier. So pretty much so they don't snap. He's enjoying it at first. That starts to change when his duty to make his white client happy interferes with his desire to be happy with the woman that he likes or has a crush on. That's where the conflict comes in. This looks like a fun satire, although I can already see the hate that the movie is going to get based on the concept itself, even though it's satire. I can see a lot of people not seeing it that way, and this being leading to a lot of complaining on social media or probably attempted boycotts just off the concept, not even like watching the show. If you watch a lot of movies, you know that the running joke in movies, especially in dramatic movies where you have the black character that guides the white
yeah,
protagonist. And you see it in so many movies, the wise black character who comes, guides them, leads them on the right path, and everything like that you see in so many movies. I feel it kind of plays off of that, just exaggerated and aiming more for comedy when they do it, and then adding a little magical aspect. I'm definitely gonna watch this. It looks fun. It looks like it's not taking itself too serious, very very tongue in cheek, and the concept is different. And I
yeah.
like when something is different So I can go in there and not really know which direction it's going to go for the most part because it is a different concept. What were your thoughts on this
First of all, it's already happened, just so you know. I've already seen on social media people are not happy with this trailer alone. Never mind the movie
one? Not
hasn't come out
surprised.
yet. Yeah,
Not
immediately it
surprised.
happened. It was no waste of time. I was like, God damn, it hasn't come out yet. It's like it's just a joke, guys. Calm down. Because like for me, like me and you, we grew up, 80s, 90s in living color times, the Keenan family, they made movies like this. Like I'm gonna get you sucker and stuff like that. This is up their alley. So I feel like if this was a movie made by them, but for today, so like I was already on board. It's like Harry Potter meets the Kingsman, I felt when I saw the trailer, just with
It,
the rom-com in there.
it's kind of like an extended Chappelle skit.
Yeah, yeah, like everything about it is like, yeah, this is gonna be so funny. And Justice Smith, I think, is really good young actor. And like you said, David Allen Greer, he's not in enough things. He's one of those people who came from In Living Color. It's like, how did he not blow up? He was so freaking funny. Like, and he still is. I see him in things every once in a while. The dude hasn't missed a step. He's still got it. He's hilarious. I think this is gonna be kind of a cool, fun movie, honestly. Some things I think will be cheesy, but the love part. I think the love rom-com parts are gonna be traditional, everything you would expect to see. But the whole like how they deal with the magic and that other world and how he has to like navigate through it, I think is gonna be kind of cool. It might be the Harry Potter movie that I want to watch.
Yeah. Wow. So we're both looking forward to that one. Coming in that week on 3/17, we actually have two shows coming to Netflix. Starting with the first one called The Signal. This is starring Florian David Fitz, Katarina Thalbach, and Nelam Farouk. This is a missing astronaut's family searches for answers, but the more they uncover, the more the threat grows to them and to the world. This is a German film. So, George, what were your thoughts on this one?
Have you ever seen the movie Frequency?
Yes.
Right? It gave me kind of those kind of vibes a little bit because there's points in the trailer where you see like they're communicating to each other, but then you start to find out it's like, oh wait, if she's missing, and she's in space, how are they talking to each other? Is there a timeline, a dimension wormhole thing happening here? So that kind of connected with me, even though it's like Interstellar. Interstellar kind of had
Mhm.
some of those things too, a little bit. So I like that, but it looked like it's still taking its own angle to it. I mean, I'm always down to see an international, story, whether it's Europe, Korea. Like, there's certain sensitive details that just pan out better, in my opinion. But it's definitely since it is in another language, I'm not on my phone to watch this. Like, I'm paying attention to this show. I gotta watch every second of it, because I'm not putting on some dubs. I want to read and hear the actors' voices for this.
Yeah, from the trailer, this movie seems to mix like thriller, sci-fi, and conspiracy, like all into one.
Yeah,
Which, when you put those things together, if executed right, you can get a project that has a lot of tension. And I like things that have tension because that's what keeps you engaged, keeps you on the edge of your seat, and and keeps you like wondering what's coming next. Without tension, sometimes you can get too relaxed, lose focus in this. So the recipe seems to be there. And as I mentioned, it is a German show, and I tend to enjoy the risks that foreign shows tend to take that a lot of American shows are not willing to go to. I'll at least give it a 3 episode trial. I'm always down for a good sci-fi show and see where it takes me. And yes, definitely without the dub for
yeah.
this. Coming out the same weekend, we have The Gentleman coming out on the 17th also. This stars Theo James, Kaya Scodelario, Daniel Ings. Basically, this is when Theo's character inherits his family estate. He discovers that the home is part of a huge plant empire, recreational plant empire. And the people that run it are not going anywhere on their own. And of course, now he needs to deal with everything that comes with that and how that's going to affect, his new inherited land. If you haven't guessed it off the title, this is also, they had a movie version of this called
Yeah.
The Gentleman. The funny thing is with The Gentleman is originally this was meant to be a TV show. Guy Ritchie originally created this idea as a TV show, couldn't get it done, ended up making it as a movie. So we're actually going to be seeing this in the original format that Guy Ritchie intended it to be. It looks like it's sticking to the same type of humor that you
Yeah.
get with the gentleman. You know, you see Guy Ritchie's style there in the way that it's filmed. I'm just excited. I enjoyed the gentleman. I felt it was a good movie. It had a completely different cast, and everyone in that cast nailed it. But you also have some people in here that are good too. If you can nail the atmosphere, the comedy, and then also the story elements that you were able to nail in the movie in this series. And I think also if you don't make it too long,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't make it like a 13 episode series, like I feel at most 10 episodes, ideally less, maybe like 8. I feel you can have a really strong show here. I'm actually kind of excited for this. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, same. I've always enjoyed his like punchy, witty humor, and he has good like fast camera action kind of going on. From what I understand, this is also like it's a full-on spin-off from the movie because
Yeah.
I think Theo James's character like he inherits his estate like, after his dad passes away, and the paraphernalia that's under the estate is actually a part of McConaughey's character. Like he
Mhm.
owns part of it, so it is directly connected to the movie as opposed to just being like a TV reboot per se. Like it's more of an expansion of the universe. So I thought that was actually kind of cool, just expanding upon what he's already built. And I think the worlds that Guy Ritchie creates are fun worlds. Like you kind of want to be a part of them because of just like the hijinks that happens, but at the same time, there's a lot of death around there, so maybe you don't want to be in it. You want to be more of a spectator. But it
Mhm.
looks like a real fun world with interesting characters.
And you know what we're gonna get from it. Just like the gentleman, the main highlight besides the story and the strong performances is you get great banter,
Yeah.
great character
Yeah.
banter. And in this trailer, it looks like we're gonna be getting the same thing. That's what I enjoyed about Gentleman is like even when nothing was going on, hearing the characters talk to each other and the way the banter was written was always highly entertaining.
Yeah. Dare I say, and I feel like if Dan watches this, he might disagree with me. I consider Guy Ritchie kind of like the British Tarantino to some extent. You know, his dialogue, no one else writes like him. You know, there's something that feels familiar to like that part of the world. It's like only people from your area talk like that, so you understand that. No one else is talking like this
Nope.
anywhere else, you know. And the fact that from what I saw, he's gonna be writing and directing chunks of the episodes. So that gives me a lot of hope that it's gonna be good.
And this is one that Netflix probably pumped a lot of money into. Now, coming out a few days later on the 21st, and this is coming to Prime, we have Roadhouse. This is directed by Doug Liman. He's done some bangers. He
Yeah.
did Edge of Tomorrow, Born Identity, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He has other projects. He's got a good filmography under his belt on the director's seat. So that's already a good plus for this movie. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Conor McGregor, Billy Magnuson, I think it is, and Daniela Melchior. This is a reimagining of the original Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. You know, they seem to be bringing in mixed martial arts element to it. So that's like a major change that they're doing from the original. They're even bringing in an actual MMA fighter
Yeah.
to be one of the main antagonists in Conor McGregor. It looks really good off the trailer. And I know Jake has put in a lot of work into this. I remember, I think it was last year, early last year, watching a UFC event and he had a fight
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
actual UFC event. Like, of course, it was, you know, it's a scripted fight, but he had to do it and he did it in front of like real fans that were there to see real fights. And he was believable enough that a lot of people thought this was him actually fighting in the MMA and not being filmed for the movie. So we know from past movies, Jake Gyllenhaal tends to like really get in depth with his characters and kind of go full out and do a lot of prep work. Shit excited about this one. I enjoyed the original one. It's Patrick Swayze, so
Yeah.
it's hard not to. Patrick Swayze was the man. I feel that this can at least not embarrass the original one at worst. I feel it could be entertaining, but at worst, not embarrass the original one. Be
Yeah.
a good homage to it. What were your thoughts on this?
I'm a fan of Gyllenhaal. I think he's freaking amazing actor, honestly. Like he's come such a long way from Bubble Boy. Like he's just phenomenal now. And like when I saw this, I'm a fan also of Roadhouse, the OG one. I hope that they don't have to have the last scene end this way, but it'd be really dope if at least someone's throat gets ripped out. If one person has it happen, that'd be really cool. The only thing that worries me about it actually is Conor McGregor. In one hand, I think he's almost perfect for it because when you watch him in the trailer, he's just being himself.
Yeah.
Like he's not acting, he's just being Connor. So as long as they don't give him lines that don't sound like he couldn't say it, I think he might do fine. But at the same time, he's one of the best. Like he's top tier UFC. When you think of the UFC, he's who you're thinking of. I hope that Gyllenhaal can keep up with him in that element, or if he
Mhm.
can, show that he knows how to pull his punches for this movie. Because there's a big difference from really hitting someone and not hitting someone.
No, that is true, 100% on that. And I do agree. In the short spurts that we saw in the trailer, Connor showed that it was like, okay, this character might be really entertaining, but you
Yeah.
run the risk if you overexpose this character or give too much extended dialogue. I feel it's this type of character that minimal dialogue is the best because then they might come out, his character might come out too cartoonish if
Hmm.
you try to give too much. So we already know the character seems eccentric. Eccentric in this type of movie is better in small doses.
Exactly.
Have him do a little bit here and there, but keep a short spurt so it doesn't overextend beyond entertainment into too cartoonish. Going into the next day, coming to theaters, we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This is directed by Gil Keenan, returning after doing the last one. Starts McKenna Grace, Bill Murray, Finn Wolfhard, Paul Rudd, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson. A good mix of old and new. Now the Springer family, the concept of the Springer family, they're returning to the New York firehouse, where the original Ghostbusters have taken ghostbusting to a new level. However, they discover an ancient artifact that leads to a new threat that can bring the second ice age, as we see in the theater with everything slowly freezing over. So it seems like a good, like, new concept story wise. I really enjoyed the first one. I felt it balanced nostalgia while giving us new characters that were likable and easy to root for. That's a lot of
Yeah.
times where these movies run into trouble, where they don't balance enough. They either go too hard into nostalgia and it fails, or they ignore everything that came from the past and the new characters can't hold water on their own. So the last one, I felt it had a good balance to it. I'm definitely excited for this one, but I do have one big worry, George. I have one big worry when it comes to this movie. I say in the first one, we saw very little of the original characters.
Yeah.
This one seems to be leaning more into the old stuff, the old characters, the old location, the old firehouse, things like that.
Yeah.
I love the original. This is nothing against the original or the OGs. I love it, but I hope this movie doesn't lean too much into nostalgia bait. The first one
Yeah.
avoided that, and I don't know, maybe it's the way the trailer was cut. It has me worried that this one won't nail that aspect that much. You want to use nostalgia to supplement what you have. Don't make nostalgia your main focus. And I feel that might be a trap this one might fall into. I really hope that I'm wrong and they take a similar approach as they did to the first one. What were your thoughts with this one?
I'm with you on a lot of it. I know with this one, she mentioned Gil was directing this. I think he was just a part of the writing staff for the first one, while Ivan Reitman directed the first one.
Oh, yes, yes, you are
Yeah.
correct. It was right around
And
there.
that's part of the things that had me worried with this one because now Gil's taking over for directing. And I think Ivan did a great job in like standing on his own while honoring what his father had done with the other Ghostbusters. I was mixed. The trailer, showing some of the old stuff, showing the firehouse, showing the mayor's office, and now the guy who was like deputy mayor is now the mayor or whatever, and kind of like lecturing the Ghostbusters like how it happened in the old movies. I kind of got excited. It's like, oh yeah, just like the old times. If anything, I think those are the parts I'm kind of hoping they can approach it in a similar but new way. In the old movies, every time the Ghostbusters got in trouble with the city, it's like you guys destroyed the city, but they ignore the fact that they stopped the ghosts. We've established ghosts are real. They're doing a job that no one else can do. Give them some credit. In this one, we got kids fighting ghosts. Now the city has a good reason to get upset with the Ghostbusters because kids are being put in danger. They could stop the Ghostbusters in a legit way, and I think that's going to be an interesting conflict now for them. But the new bad guy being this frozen creature ghost, that's kind of cool. It's interesting. You know, the city gives the kids a new element to deal with while being I mean, a familiar element for us that we are kind of used to. And I like Paul Rudd. I mean, seeing Paul Rudd become a
All
Ghostbuster,
right.
it's
Aw.
I'm all for that, you know. But
Especially watching him in the first one.
he was so good
Yeah.
because he represented us, you know. He was the fan of
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. But I fear that they might lean on the old guys too much, unfortunately. As much as I love, like, who doesn't want to see Bill Murray in a movie? But I liked their passing the torch in the first one. Let the torch be passed. Let it just focus on this new family. That's plus the idea of a family ghost busting. That's a new dynamic all on its own. That sounds really cool.
We do bring up a good element on how the city does try to stop them. They can be like child labor laws, like, we'll see. I really want this to be good. I really do because, like I said, I enjoyed the last one. Big Ghostbusters fan, and it'll just put us further and further away from the disaster that was that other reboot that we should not talk about.
We don't speak of that
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
Can I say one thing though? Bustin just makes me feel good.
Whether it's Ghost or not.
Bustin makes me feel good.
Speaking of Bustin, this next movie coming out that weekend, we have Immaculate. Uh, this is directed by Michael Mohan. I haven't seen anything that this person has done up to this point. So that if I watch this will be the first one. It stars Sydney Sweeney, Simona Tabasco, Alvaro Morte. Basically, the concept of this: you have an American nun, played by Sydney Sweeney, who joins a convent in Italy, where her warm welcome turns quickly when she finds out there's something evil in that place. But not only that, she's also now ending up with an immaculate pregnancy. George, what were your thoughts on this one?
For the director, I will say he has done a couple things that I've liked. He did the movie Voyeurs, which had Sydney Sweeney in it and Justice Smith.
Okay, I haven't seen that
It's
one.
it's it's on Prime. The pretty much like they watch people across the street from where they live, and there's some like thriller aspects and things happen. So really good. He also did a comedy show on Netflix, called Life Sucks, which was like based like on the '90s and these kids kind of going to high school stuff. A decent comedy. Didn't get renewed, unfortunately, but like he's done some things that are enjoyable. This is going to be quite different from those two
Mm.
projects, though. I see this movie going like one of two ways for like her immaculate conception. She's so young, and we don't get a good idea of why she's there. Part of me feels that maybe she was pregnant beforehand and she did something that she shouldn't have done, and that's why she's becoming a nun. If it is an actual pregnancy out of nowhere,
Oh,
I
and
think
then
it'd be
she
kind of
brought the evil in there.
right.
Mhm.
But like, the idea of maybe an antichrist being born inside of her, that could be kind of cool too. Who doesn't like those kind of movies? I like The Omen and stuff like that. It does give me vibes though of like some bad, Blumhouse movies. Like all of the side shoot movies that came from like The Conjuring and stuff like that. I got those kind of vibes. Some are okay, most are not. I'm hoping that this is more of a success, especially for her. I like Sydney Sweeney. I think she's a pretty good rising star right now.
This movie, from what I saw in the trailer, it seems to be banking on Sydney's popularity
Oh yeah.
being the driving force to bring people in. And this is nothing against Sweeney. I think she's talented at all. It's nothing against her. But the movie itself, it seems like that's what it's banking on. Because the trailer didn't really stick out or didn't really give me anything to like in the horror department to like hook me in. There was nothing in there that I was like, "Ooh, that's a cool visual," or "That's a cool scene," or "That's new, that's unique." The trailer itself seemed very, very generic in its horror and in the story.
Yeah.
And
I
we've
thought
seen
it
a
was the
lot
Nun
of
Part 4 at first, honestly. I thought
It could have been very easily. It's horror, so I will give it a try when it comes to streaming. But the trailer did not sell me enough to get me interested to go watch this in the theater. Lastly, on the 29th, we have Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. This is directed by Adam Wingard. He did the Godzilla versus Kong. He did Your Next. So those are some of the good projects. But then he also did Death Note, and he did Blair Witch, not the original Blair Witch, the newer Blair Witch, I think from like 2016. So we got some good and we got some bad, like mixed in there from Adam. This stars Godzilla and Kong because let's be honest, no one cares about the humans
Yeah.
in these movies. So those are the only two performers you really need to know that are in there. Basically, the premise of it is Godzilla and Kong are forced to team up to face against some new threat that's been hidden deep within the planet that can put an end to them and to the human race. That's the general concept of it. Now, George, I'm conflicted. I'm very
Okay.
conflicted when it comes to this movie. I enjoyed the movies leading up to them. I thought they were
Yeah.
entertaining. They were fun. I liked them. But there's two main things that have me a little hesitant with this one. The first thing, I saw Godzilla minus one, and that put all these Godzilla movies in this series to shame and just set a new standard that I don't know it can live up to. So Godzilla minus one might have ruined this entire series for me. That's one. Two, and I don't know if it was the director or someone involved in the movie, but once I heard a fun buddy adventure being used to describe this movie, that sent a red flag up for me.
Mm.
When I think Godzilla and King Kong, I don't think buddy cop comedy here. Okay. And then you see a little bit of that in the trailer where,
Yeah.
you know, he has his gauntlet and they're like running like Zilla's like running like he's been doing CrossFit for like 3 years, and all of a sudden he's got all this like nimbleness to him. So with the trailer, the comments I heard describing what this type of movie would be, and Godzilla Godzilla minus one, it has me very, very, very hesitant, very conflicted about this. I'm still gonna watch it in the theater,
Yeah.
but I'm setting my expectations low. What are your thoughts?
Well, as a Godzilla fanatic, I can say that there's two types of Godzilla films. All right. You got your minus ones, your Shin Godzillas, your 1954s and 1994 and 84. There's serious Godzilla films, and those are the ones that you watch for that dramatic and impact that they have and the thrillerness that they have. Then there's the ones where Godzilla is sliding on his tail and kicking you in the face with his feet. You know. This is that one. And those are fun movies. Like you go into those movies, you turn your brain off and you just have a good time. That's how I feel where the MonsterVerse has kind of gone. Because honestly, the first one, the Godzilla, the was it 2015, 2014, whatever, that was a pretty good serious Godzilla movie. As we progressed, they started just becoming the goofy Godzilla movies, and I just enjoyed them for different reasons. I'm not watching these movies now because of the compelling human story and the like analogies to other things, and allegories to like the turmoil and conflict that we have. It's like, no, not watching it for that. I just want to see monsters fight big monsters, and I think I'm gonna get that within this movie. But I feel you when I saw that gauntlet on Kong's hand, I was like, what is this? He's a power glove? What's he doing? What? And it's like, who's making him like a freaking Jaeger armor from Pacific Rim? What is this?
Godzilla is.
Right?
Godzilla has a blacksmith cave
Yeah.
down below where he makes it. He also sells it on his Etsy,
Uh,
so anyone can can get the gauntlet
uh
at
Big
the
Zilla Etsy.
Godzilla Etsy.
That's what we gotta see. Zilla's like in his cave and he's just like atomic breath, and he's just like with his tail clong, clong, and he gives him like his metal gauntlet. And he's like, oh, I'm getting too old for this shit. I don't know if you've seen the names. We're getting two new kaiju in this movie also, or titans as they call it in this series. The big new ape that we see that leads this other crew of apes is called
Mhm.
the Star King. That's such a intimidating name. I'm so afraid of this guy. I don't know how
Oh.
they're gonna beat him, the Star King.
Well, I mean, if maybe he's called the Star King because he powered up with the star from Mario Brothers, and that's what's making him unstoppable.
Oh, it's the
If we start hearing
multiversal
that music
Exodus.
coming,
Yep. Dun, 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 dun.
and
Yeah, and
Mario shows up thinking that Godzilla is Pooper, and then
it,
so
tell me you wouldn't want
uh,
to see this now. Come on. This
I
movie is
think
getting so much better now.
I think I just sold myself.
Right?
No,
So
I
there's an
think I need to
interesting thing.
go in with your mindset. I
Yeah,
need to
yeah, yeah,
go
yeah,
in
yeah,
with your
yeah.
mindset. I have time. I have a month to prepare myself and remove those, expectations that I set for it and just kind of go in with a fun mindset.
Yeah, no, for sure. I because obviously I've raved on this channel and in other places how much I love minus one. I had people that I've worked with that are like they watched minus one because I told them how good it was going to be, and then they kind of got excited for this, and I was just like, this is not the same thing. This is all right. Don't go into this movie after watching minus one thinking you're getting the same stuff. Not the same. All right. Here in America, we don't make those kind of movies. Okay. We make popcorn flicks.
You know,
Something I noticed that was similar to this with Ghostbusters, they both are gonna have a frozen element. So there's a new kaiju in this
Mm.
that is called Shimo, and it pretty much is like iceberg Godzilla, which I thought that was kind of interesting that two big blockbusters are gonna have ice elements. I don't know what the deal with that is.
So
It's
so
pretty,
we're
pretty
gonna
nutty.
have a Godzilla variant and a King Kong variant, and
Pretty
those are
much.
your two enemies. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it's good. I'm always down for a fun movie. I just have to get my mindset right going in because I will be watching it day one, even with my worries. So I'll be there.
Yeah.
Um, with that being said, thank you everyone for joining us on this month. Stay tuned. This was a long list of movies and TV shows coming. Let us know in the comments below. Are there any of these that you're looking forward to? Any of these that you will not touch with a 10-foot pole? And are there anything there that we missed? They even as long as this list is, there might be some other things that are coming out. So let us know down below. Please make sure to remember to like, subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter/X. You can also find our episodes on pretty much any platform that plays podcasts. So Spotify, Apple, YouTube, any of those. George, any final comments before we go?
Busted makes me feel good.